The grey waves of the North Sea crash against a solitary steel structure, a stark reminder of human endeavor amidst nature's relentless forces. It rises from the water, a testament to human ingenuity and ambition, standing tall against the elements, defying the odds. This is Sealand, a self-proclaimed nation that has captured the imagination of the world, a symbol of defiance and independence. Located just a few miles off the coast of England, Sealand is more than just a rusty platform in the sea. It is a beacon of hope for those who dream of carving out their own destiny. It represents a unique experiment in self-determination and a challenge to traditional notions of statehood, a bold statement in the face of conventional governance. Sealand's story begins not with dreams of independence, but with the necessities of war, a time when survival demanded innovation and courage. During World War II, Great Britain faced a relentless enemy in Nazi Germany, a foe that threatened the very existence of the nation. The German Luftwaffe threatened British shipping lanes, and a bold plan was hatched to counter the threat, a plan that would lead to the creation of the Monsell Sea Forts. In the rough waters of the North Sea, a series of forts would be constructed, each one a fortress against the skies. These forts, dubbed Monsell Sea Forts, would serve as platforms for anti-aircraft guns and radar installations, standing as sentinels against the enemy. The forts were engineering marvels, a blend of military necessity and human ingenuity designed to withstand the harshest conditions. Towers and platforms were prefabricated on land and then carefully towed out to sea, a logistical feat that required precision and skill. Once in position, they were sunk onto the seabed, becoming immovable bastions in the ocean, ready to serve their purpose. Life on these forts was harsh, a test of endurance and resilience for the soldiers stationed there. The North Sea is known for its unpredictable weather, with storms that could turn the sea into a churning cauldron. The forts, while sturdy, offered little in the way of comfort, with Spartan interiors and makeshift living quarters. But the men stationed on these platforms played a crucial role in the war effort, their vigilance and bravery a key part of the defense strategy. They downed enemy aircraft and provided early warnings of incoming attacks, their actions saving countless lives and ensuring the safety of vital shipping lanes. As the war ended, the need for the Monsell forts diminished, their role in the conflict coming to a close. The forts were decommissioned, their guns silenced, their purpose seemingly fulfilled, left to stand as silent sentinels in the sea. They stood as ghostly reminders of a conflict that had engulfed the world, their empty shells a testament to a bygone era. But one of these forts, Ruff's Tower, would find a new and unexpected destiny, a transformation that would capture the world's attention. It would become the unlikely birthplace of a nation, a symbol of resilience and the enduring human spirit. The years following World War II saw many changes. The world was in a state of flux, with nations striving to rebuild and recover from the immense devastation caused by the conflict. Cities lay in ruins and communities were shattered, but there was a collective spirit of resilience and determination to restore what had been lost. The world rebuilt after the devastation of the conflict. Across Europe, people worked tirelessly to reconstruct their homes, businesses, and infrastructure. It was a time of great effort and hope, as nations sought to rise from the ashes and create a better future. The Monsell forts, once symbols of resistance, were largely forgotten. These sea forts, which had played a crucial role in defending the coast during the war, now stood abandoned and neglected. Their purpose had been fulfilled, and they were left to the mercy of the elements. Left to the elements, they slowly began to rust and decay. The once formidable structures, now relics of a bygone era, were battered by wind and waves. Nature began to reclaim these man-made fortresses, and they became eerie reminders of the past. Some were dismantled, their materials repurposed for other uses. The steel and concrete that once formed the backbone of these forts found new life in post-war reconstruction projects. Yet, not all of them met this fate. But Ruff's Tower remained, a silent sentinel in the North Sea. Unlike its counterparts, Ruff's Tower stood defiant against time and tide, an isolated monument to wartime ingenuity and resilience. In the 1960s, a new phenomenon emerged: pirate radio. This was a time of cultural revolution, and music was at the heart of it. Traditional radio stations were tightly controlled, and many popular genres were banned from the airwaves. Across Europe, radio enthusiasts began broadcasting from ships and offshore structures. These pirate radio stations operated outside the law, bringing the latest rock and pop music to eager listeners who craved something fresh and exciting. These pirate stations challenged the government's control over the airwaves. Authorities saw them as a threat to their monopoly on broadcasting, leading to a cat-and-mouse game between the pirates and the law. They played rock and pop music that was often banned by the BBC, capturing the hearts of a generation hungry for something new. The airwaves were filled with the sounds of rebellion and freedom, and pirate radio became a cultural phenomenon. Among these pirate radio pioneers was a former British Army major named Roy Bates. Bates was no stranger to adventure, having served his country with distinction during the war. Bates had a knack for adventure and an entrepreneurial spirit. He saw opportunities where others saw obstacles, and the world of pirate radio was no exception. He saw the potential of Ruff's Tower, this abandoned military outpost, as a base for his pirate radio station, Radio Essex. The isolated location provided the perfect cover for his broadcasts, away from the prying eyes of the authorities. In 1967, Bates and his family occupied Ruff's Tower, claiming it as their own. This bold move marked the beginning of a new chapter in the history of the Montsil forts, transforming a forgotten relic of war into a symbol of defiance and innovation. Roy Bates's initial goal was not to create a new country. He was a businessman seeking a platform for his radio station. In the 1960s, pirate radio stations were a popular way to broadcast music and entertainment outside the control of the British government. Bates saw an opportunity to reach a wider audience and make a name for himself in the broadcasting world. He invested in radio equipment and set up his station, hoping to capture the attention of listeners who were tired of the limited options available on government-regulated airwaves. However, his ambitions soon faced significant obstacles. As time went on, Bates grew increasingly frustrated with British attempts to shut down his operation. The government saw pirate radio as a threat to their control over broadcasting and took measures to clamp down on these unlicensed stations. Bates found himself in a constant battle to keep his station on the air. In his search for a solution, Bates discovered Ruff's Tower, an abandoned World War II anti-aircraft platform located in international waters. He began to see Ruff's Tower not just as a business opportunity, but as a potential haven from what he viewed as government overreach. The platform offered a unique chance to operate his radio station free from British interference. On September 2, 1967, Roy Bates took a bold and unprecedented step. He declared the independence of Ruff's Tower, christening it the Principality of Sealand. This was not just a symbolic gesture. Bates was serious about creating a new nation. He raised a flag, composed a national anthem, and declared himself Prince Roy I. Bates's declaration was a statement of defiance against the British government and a bold assertion of his right to self-determination. This was a direct challenge to British authority. Bates was not content to simply operate a radio station. He wanted to create a new nation with its own identity and governance. The Sealand flag and national anthem were symbols of this new identity. The British government was not amused. They saw Bates's actions as a publicity stunt, a minor annoyance that needed to be dealt with. However, Bates was determined to defend his claim to sovereignty. It was a declaration that this tiny platform, barely larger than a football field, was now a sovereign nation. Bates's vision for Sealand was ambitious, but he believed in the legitimacy of his claim. The British government scoffed at Bates's proclamation. They dismissed it as a joke, but Bates was serious. He was prepared to defend Sealand's independence against any challenge. They saw it as a publicity stunt, a minor annoyance. But Bates's determination and the media attention Sealand received made it clear that this was more than just a passing fancy. They attempted to assert their jurisdiction over Sealand, sending ships to the platform. But Bates was undeterred. He stood his ground, arguing that Sealand was outside British territorial waters and therefore not subject to their laws. He argued that Sealand met the criteria for statehood under international law. It had a defined territory, a permanent population, consisting primarily of Bates's family and associates, and a government. Bates was determined to prove that Sealand was a legitimate nation. It had a defined territory, a permanent population, consisting primarily of Bates's family and associates, and a government. Bates's vision for Sealand was not just a dream. It was a reality he was willing to fight for. The story of Sealand is a testament to one man's determination to create something new and unique in the face of overwhelming odds.